With Vice President Kamala Harris officially set to become the Democrat nominee today, she still hasn't held a formal news conference or wide-ranging interview over 2 weeks after Joe Biden dropped out of the race.
She's only had one single unscripted moment Thursday night at Andrews Air Force Base, welcoming those hostages back. And she served up the kind of incomprehensible word salad for which she's become famous. When she has to encounter the media, when the American people get a better look at her and her radical positions, I think you're going to see that they don't want her to continue the Biden-Harris legacy.
What does she do? Does she come out, Carly, and does she have a more question and answer opportunity? Or does she keep this campaign letting others that favor her define her? Because Biden kind of did that.
I don't think that you can run a presidential campaign without the unscripted moments, without the news conference or the interview, even if it's from a favorable media source. And I bet you that's the answer. I'm sure that's what they are going to do.
Here's my pushback on that. Joe Biden had nearly 50 years of a political background and history to be parceled through in 2020. And he held some drive-in rallies. He campaigned from the basement. He didn't have any question and answer.
Yeah. Well, Joe Concha is a Fox News contributor and author of the new book, Progressively Worse, Why Today's Democrats Ain't Your Daddy's Donkey. And he joins us now. So, Joe, weigh in on this conversation that Joey and I were already having. I'm sure that the Harris campaign is saying it. All I want for Christmas is for Kamala Harris to get to November without the interview. Will they get their wish?
Well, it's been 14 days, Carly, Joey, since Kamala Harris essentially became the Democratic nominee. And that's after the party bullied a sitting president in Joe Biden out of running for a second term because they knew he wouldn't win. And she's taken as many questions from the press as everyone watching this fine show right now. 0.0. And if her handlers have their way, you'll see Adam Kinzinger golfing with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago before you see Kamala Harris hold a press conference or take any questions from anyone resembling an actual journalist right now. The plan is to plead the Fifth all the way until Election Day, November 5th. So the only way to hear her answer any questions about her record and the things she said the last time she ran for president 4 years ago is to debate Trump. And no, not on a network like ABC, where if you watch the likes of George Stephanopoulos, it might as well be called MSABC. It should be here on Fox. Donald Trump's agreed to that. That's in September. You'd have Bret Baier, Martha MacCallum asking both Trump and Harris relevant, germane, tough but fair questions. In Harris's case, I suspect that she would have to actually answer questions about her declarations to ban fracking, end the fossil fuel industry, end all offshore drilling, raise taxes, abolish ICE, fund sanctuary cities, provide health care to illegals, defund the police, support late-term abortion, and defund sex changes for minors. All that would be on the table. And as you've seen, you take a teleprompter and a script away from Kamala Harris, and things go sideways in a hurry.
You know, Joe, like you said, she's the nominee without getting a vote. That's because President Biden stepped down. And like you said, a lot of us see him as being bullied out of it. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi didn't have much to say. As a matter of fact, she deflected questions on that pretty heavily. But she did have this to say. Let's take a listen.
Such a consequential president of the United States, a Mount Rushmore kind of president of the United States. I want to know what comes next.
That he belongs up there on Mount Rushmore. Lincoln and Joe Biden.
But you got Teddy Roosevelt up there, and he's wonderful. I don't say take him down, but you can add Biden.
What do you think about that?
Joey, as we saw during COVID, Nancy Pelosi has a refrigerator and freezer the size of my old apartment in Hoboken. She is exactly what Joe Biden is, an old elitist who has profited greatly from their position in power. Pelosi doesn't get that Americans are hurting from inflation from the last 3.5 years. They're about to see their 401ks plummet again due to this recession that is definitely coming. She doesn't care that the border has allowed more than 10 million unvetted individuals, including hundreds of terrorists on the FBI terror watch list, into this country. And by the way, the presidents that are on Mount Rushmore, at last check, didn't decide to quit before running for a second term. They weren't the most unpopular presidents of anyone's lifetimes like Joe Biden is now, and for good reason. And maybe once in a while they showed up for work. As we speak right now, Carly, Joey, Joe Biden is currently in Delaware, again for another long weekend again. He's not coming back until later this afternoon, while everything we're seeing going on in the Middle East, while everybody's seeing what's happening to the stock market right now. That long weekend is not going to be interrupted in any way, shape, or form. And yet Nancy Pelosi thinks he should be on Mount Rushmore. He should be somewhere like maybe a statue in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. Give him that, because that's where he is most of the time. Or Wilmington, not Mount Rushmore. It's such an insult. And then Leslie Stahl, of course, laughing along. Give me a break.
It's a great point. I don't even know if there's enough room on the mountain. I think they've run out of real estate.
I love how she says,
I don't think it's going to happen.
Get rid of Teddy Roosevelt that created national parks.
Yeah, he said,
no bull moose, but definitely Joe Biden.
Joe, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.